Good morning, everyone. We will start with the webinar. Welcome to the Caribbean Conservation Innovation Grant, Caribbean Area Conservation Innovation Grant webinar. The webinar will be recorded and also will be provided in English, but you are more than welcome to make your question in Spanish. We will have a question and answer section at the end of the presentation, and also you can use the chat on this channel to write your question. Please keep your cameras off and your mic on mute, and this will help us to understand and listen the presentation, also to preserve the connectivity. My name is Ricardo Colom. I'm the Assistant State Conservationist for Management Strategy for NRCS in the Caribbean area. During today, Mario Rodriguez, our State Research Conservationist, will present information related to the Conservation Innovation Grant for the Caribbean area. As previously mentioned, please, you can use the chat for your question and also the section for a question at the end of the presentation. Now I will leave Mario Rodriguez to start the presentation. Mario.
Thank you, Ricardo. Hi, Caribbean. Hi, everybody. Hope you guys hearing me well. This is the 2024 Caribbean Area Notice for Funding under CIG. I'm Mario Rodriguez. I'm the State Resource Conservationist for the Caribbean area. I lead the Ecological Science Division for NRCS. So happy to be here, and let's start. If you have questions, doesn't matter if it's in English or Spanish, you can either write it on the chat or put your icon, your hand icon up, and Ricardo or Carlos can monitor the questions for me, since I cannot see the chat right now. So thank you for having me here for today. As part of the objectives on this presentation is to inform what the Caribbean has in this notice for funding, what are the specific educated, what is the specific and priorities in this CIG, is to pursue applicants that to present their projects and proposals to compete in this funding, and to motivate those that are not yet convinced. So hopefully we have a good understanding after this presentation. We will have a presentation written in Spanish available in our webpage. So as soon as we finish today's presentation, we will have both versions in the page. This is a summary of where this come from. This is the local, the state CIG for 2024 for the Caribbean area. This is funding that comes from the Department of Ag and the U.S. Department of Ag and the Commodity Corporation. And it came after the national funding opportunity came out. This is part of, and it's authorized as part of the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, and is to stimulate the adoption of innovation approaches. So what we're looking is to fund those projects that are new for the Caribbean, new approaches, new ways to do things, or integrations of the new and the not that new. So you will see during the presentation that we explain those specifics. CIG is expected to be used for technology transfer in conservation technologies, management system approaches of implementation, pilot projects, demonstrations, and should benefit the whole region. So in terms of ranking, those projects that have targeted Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands together will help rank higher. Who's eligible? Well, basically, all U.S. non-foreign and federal non-federal aid entities, individuals are eligible. Federal agencies are not, but businesses can apply as a business, not as an individual. So basically, most of the non-federal individual can be applied for this funding. The total amount of funds that we have is $500,000 for this announcement, giving a maximum award of $100,000 and a floor of $25,000. So you will create those projects within $25,000 and $100,000 share. And those projects need to be from 1 to 3 years of duration. We are expecting to fund this $500,000, and we are looking into the projects to start in September 1st, and to make 5 awards at least. That will depend on how much money those projects request. And we have set aside funding for historically underserved producers or projects that are aligned to those type of producers. This is a special consideration for either the HU producer or the community organization that is working with those, or entities that are targeting HUs, or institutions that are, for example, 1890, 1894, or Hispanic serving minority, like Black communities, or women, or Asian American, etc. It's very important, and you will see this along the presentation. There are some red notes. Those red notes are intended because there were errors or mistakes that we found on other calls in previous years. In this case, the applicant seeking this HU set-aside fund must identify that on the cover letter. I will show you in one of the slides where the specific on the application. One of them is the cover letter. That information should be there. You should include in that criteria the description of the group that you're working with or you're part of, your commitment, the capacity building you're producing in this project, and the involvement, and how you will be measuring that commitment. In terms of budget, what we are looking in that part of the application is that you justify how the money is going to be used, or what the money is for. There's a text that should be explaining that's your narrative, and a table. So you will have both, one explaining the other. If you're requesting indirect costs, you should have your NICRA. So you should have that negotiated NICRA before the application. So you should not wait for the application to be accepted to start negotiating that NICRA. In terms of matching, and this is one of the main, the first questions that we receive is 50%. So projects are $100,000 request. The matching should be 100,000. This is the basic on this. In the case of those projects that are HU or historically underserved, that will be 1/3 of the total. So if It's basically the 50% in a half. So if it's 100,000 project, instead of being 100,000 share, that should be 50,000. So it's 1/3 of the total project. So what we are looking into projects. This project needs to have some background, some study done beforehand, and should that study, that information should indicate that probability of success. We should see projects that demonstrate the effectiveness and the affordability of the project. We have seen projects are too big for the amount of time, or too big for the funds requested. So we need to see projects are evaluated and conservative in terms of how they use the funds and measure the success. It should be adaptable. It should be technology that can be transferred in terms of management practices, system, any approach, or any guides. Should be that way, and should be projects that introduce technologies and approaches into the system. So as an example, we have in previous years, before we had those coffee, low energy use coffee machines, this is actually a product of a previous CIE. This machinery was used before in South America and Europe, and that technology was transferred here through a project fund through UPR and NRCS, CIE, NRCS gave. And at the end of the project, the outcome became a scenario and an equipment that can be paid under our practices. So you can have a project that is introducing some technology that has been used in other places like Europe or South America. So now I'm gonna go into the priorities for this year. We have 6 main priorities. Some of them have sub priorities within. You're encouraged to address one or more of those. In terms of the first one, water quality, you have then the harvesting, or basically drought mitigation, climate smart, any practice that targets climate extremes, urban agriculture systems, invasives, and innovation on ag waste management. When you produce this project or this proposal, be sure that you clarify what priorities are in your proposal and what's the primary one. So because we will compare your project with the priority. So that the primary priority needs to be specified. Going deeper into the priorities in water quality, we're looking into improve projects that improve the water quality through either field testing strategies involving the community, or landscape level. That means looking into watershed, for example. Development of innovation or repurpose tools and guidance. In Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, we have seen that some guidance documents are basically old or obsolete, and there's new ways to do things now with the new technologies and AI, etc. There's several new ways to implement conservation. Field testing, we're looking into those projects also. Any enhanced nutrient management technologies, the use of georeferencing, GIS, ArcGIS, drones, ground equipment to validate computer technologies that have been used in the area, and also projects that leverage community resources, project with the community, and that one specific, the community resources, that you will see that priority in that you will see that in all priorities together, because this project, this community projects has a good value for us. In terms of priority number 2, water harvesting on dry land, or basically drought mitigation, we are looking into water access for irrigation. We are looking into field testing, existing conservation practice or existing scenarios that we have that need validation, new or repurposed tools and guidance, evaluation of enhanced practices or enhanced models, and the community resources. On priority number 3, the climate smart agriculture, we are looking into, again, the repurposed planning tools, field testing, implementation, and validation, new strategies, watershed strategies, and communication tools and strategies. But you will note that we will not work project that focus on training. So this is a grant that is for developing ways to do things, developing strategies, developing tools, developing guidelines. It's not to give the training. Yes, we have we want the training included into the proposal. So if you're developing a new tool or a new technique, we want our NRCS local team and the producers are targeted in your project to be trained on how to use those tools. In terms of a sub-priority within the climate smart ag is resilience. So we're looking in new system, new non-traditional crops to be used, new grazing system, forestry or agroforestry system that pertain to mitigate for those extremes, community resources, and this is a new one that came in the last year, is indigenous or cultural farming. So we know in the Caribbean we have history. We have history of farming, how to do farming that probably doesn't have the science written of why our ancestors did the things the way they did, but this is a good opportunity to validate those cultural indigenous farming knowledge. So this climate smart ag priority 3 will give you that opportunity. In those building resilience sub-priority, we're looking to you to include in the project the budget analysis, how will be how the climate is mitigated, or those effects need to be explained, and an evaluation that demonstrates the full extent of the project. I'm receiving a feedback there. Please mute your microphones. Thank you. So as I said, the building resilience is looking for as part of the project that you have a way to measure those benefits. Priority number 4, the urban ag. We're looking into economic benefits, the impacts on urban ag, showcase the implementation of different conservation practices and mixed practices and the outcomes on those. Creating innovation in management system or any technology pertaining to urban ag, and the interpretation of existing conservation practices in urban settings. Historically, most of our conservation practices are designed for farming areas, not necessarily for urban settings. So any interpretation, any scenarios validating practices in smaller settings or in urban settings will help us a lot in creating new ways or new scenarios for the Caribbean to be available for next year's programs. Also in urban ag, we have a sub-priority that asks the applicant to have a measure system to demonstrate what are the improved on the conservation planning process for those urban small acre settings, and should how the modification, how the adjust were done in that urban settings. And this is a note that we have here pertaining to public water resources or public lands. Any project that are connected into a public service will not qualify, because the entity, the public entity is the one in charge of the management of that system. And I make the example of the wastewater treatment. In Puerto Rico case is PRASA. If your project is working with the sewage water management, that will not count as a CIG for us. That will not qualify under this program. Priority number 5, invasive species. We're looking into projects that help us prevent, detect, or combat invasive species. This is strategies or approaches or guidelines to work, for example, with Venezuelan grass or with albicias, etc., to keep those out or manage those if they're already in the system. If the project or your proposal pertains into a species that NRCS is already putting money as an initiative or a pilot project, those projects will not be looked for, because we're already working with that. And I gave the example of feral pigs. NRCS is having pilot projects all around the nation, working with that and creating new scenarios and way to manage those. Priority number 6, innovation on waste management. With natural disasters and climate extreme, we're having lots of animal mortality, and with the issues of excess water during the rainy season and drought, we're having problems with animal waste and the accumulation of that animal waste. So any project that pertains to field testing, to those of conservation practices, validation of conservation practice to manage wastewater or the runoff coming from the animal waste areas, strategies that the community is using to manage the animal waste, innovation on different planning tools that we have, or guidance that we or you guys are working with or developing to validate those, or technologies to be enhanced. Those projects are good for us to have. Also, community resources used to manage animal waste, ag waste, and animal mortality. Application submission, everything is under grants.gov. So we, at the NRCS level, we're not be receiving any application through email, fax, or snail mail. So everything needs to be submitted through grants.gov. It should be submitted on time by the due date. I will tell you what key dates are. The late submission will not be reviewed. So grants.gov will generate a date and time of the documentation. We will use that as the submission date. Applications that fail on the requirements, and I'm going deeper on that, will not be considered. Any of the attachments should not have password, please. Do not submit videos. And the files, please, less than 10 megs, because this is a cloud that has limited space. So be sure of that. In terms of the application, you will have the standard form 424. I will show that in a bit. So you see visually what form is that. Should be there. That's your application. And then your narrative. Your project narrative should not exceed 17 pages. So that number should be there in your mind. The 17 pages includes the cover page. And be sure that you add that cover page in there, because fail to provide that will stop the screening. And that narrative should have an abstract, the objectives, the background of the project, any design or method that you're evaluating, and how you will be evaluating the products, deliverables, what you're looking into have at the end of the projects, the benefits of those outcomes, any geographic location and size of the project, if there are producers that are involved in the project, if they're eligible for programs, that should be included in there. The action plan and timeline. So in those 3 years, you can have a timeline. At this point, I'm gonna finish this part, that part, that part, and that's part of your deliverables. Who's gonna manage, or how will be the project management, the technology transferring in those cases, any graphic charts, reports that you want to include in that narrative. But remember, those graphics are counting in those 17 pages. So be sure that the information is there before you start putting in pictures or graphics or charts. Also, included in that application, you will add your references, any citation or books that you're looking the technology from, environmental effects, and that is bold because all projects need to identify what will be the effects of implementing it on the ground. So your resource concerns ID in the application. If you have a previous CIG that is connected to this application or this project that you're proposing, or if you had a previous or past CIG and your involvement and performance should be added into that application. You can include your historically underserved certification, or as we explained in the beginning of the presentation, what is your entity or you, and what are the targeted HU that you're working with, or if you're a university, what if you're a historically underserved institution, that information should be there. The standard form 424, that's your budget information, your budget narratives and table. In grant.gov, you will see the lobbying form that should be included there. Your personal contact information, any supporting or pending support document, your disclosure for lobbying activities, your NICRA or negotiated indirect cost, any letter of support, letter of intent, disclosure of any potential conflict should be included there. And in those cases that are not individual, the SAMS number should be added in the application. This is the 424 document. It's a fill-out form that is included in grants.gov when you start filling out your proposal, your application. It should be fulfilled and presented in the packet. The lobbying activities document is in your left top corner. Your 425, that's your financial report or the project financial report, and the 270 is the request of reimbursement. That 270 and 425, those two documents are the ones that are going to be used every quarter when you send your progress and you're requesting money for the work done during that period of time. The selection process, obviously, we will be checking or screening for completeness, that everything that we told you, the list of documents be there. So anything that is incomplete or non-compliant will not be evaluated or will be eliminated from the competition. We are not looking to discuss with applicants any deficiencies in the application. So any deficiencies or omissions, the application will be eliminated from competition. So be sure that everything is within the packet and is in a clear way that we understand what are your priorities and what is the process of producing the technology or the product that you're looking for. We have a two-tier process. We have actually the director will have a technical review panel assigned to review all the applications or all the proposals, and at the end we'll give a recommendation. This is ranked recommendation. So from the highest rank to the lowest will be sent to the director with our written recommendations and observations. and then the director will have the final award selection based on those. How will be ranked? Well, the purpose, approach, and goals, the innovation and the approaches, the management of the project, who's involved, and the benefits on those projects. So, as we told you earlier today, if the benefit is for the whole Caribbean and is easy to transfer that technology to farmers and to implement the conservation into the ground, that will give you higher points in that scale. Key dates, this is important. Anything that is received after 11:59 Eastern Time on May 15th will be out. So be aware of that time of the day and the day. Also, if you're having issues with grant.gov, with the platform, NRCS doesn't have that power. So any support with grant.gov, there's a phone number in the presentation here. You can call that number, 1-800-518-4726, or direct the questions or to support at grants.gov. We anticipate to have a selection by June 30 and the awards by July 30. So give us about 30 days for the award. So this is the presentation in English. This is the time for questions. Anything specific or any doubt or anything that wasn't clear enough, this is your opportunity. I don't know, Ricardo, if there's anything in the chat.
Not yet. We don't have any question. Well, just one from Felix Rivera Montalvo. He's asking, can a project that is looking to validate a production model that extend beyond the 3 years limit be divided in 2 consecutive projects depending of available future funds?
This is a great question. Okay, put it this way. On those 3 years, you should have the deliverables. So yes, you can produce 2 projects in one, but the second project, there's no guarantee first that you get the first one, and there's no guarantee that you get the second one. So you will present a proposal with your first project with measurable and identify deliverable with a priority or priorities identified in that project, and that would be your proposal. In the future, if we have another NFO out with the same priorities or priorities that are within your second project, you can submit your second project. But CIG is not guaranteed or does not guarantee a second project or a project attached to the first one. Yes, you can send a second proposal in the next call as part of your first one, or do a continuance on a first one, and that will give you part of the the background on your second project. So that first project will be your background. So the answer is a little comprehensive. So basically, what you're producing is 2 proposals separate. One for this first call in 2024 with your specific deliverables, outcomes, and priorities. And your second one, you can have it on hold for a future call in 2025, 2026.
Thank you, Mario. We have
Mhm.
have another question from Damoet Colon. He's requesting to go back in the presentation and put again the priority areas slides that you were discussing regarding water quality, water harvesting on dry lands. And Damoet, you can unmute and make any question to Mario if you want.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. So yeah, just to so I can take the screens of the priorities, so have those noted.
Thank you, Duamet. Phil, if you look into the NFO into grants.gov, the same thing that you have here in the slides are inside that NFO and with the same language and the same details. I wanted just to point it out some bold items for you to focus on, because that the things that we're measuring in the rankings, and those red notes are mistakes that have been made by proposals in the past. So this is the why. But thank you for your question.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mario. Also, for the benefits of all the participants, the link for the web page for our local CIG was shared in the chat. You can navigate in that web page and you can find all this information. Also, you can find this presentation in the web page. The first slides are in English and the last slides are in Spanish. We have one more question, Mario. It's from Jose Arroyo. He's asking, the acquisition of equipment is permitted with CIG funding. The equipment later on will be provided for farmers to use?
Yes. If the proposal has an equipment that will be validated, or equipment that is needed to implement what is being validated, yes. Any equipment over $5,000, if I'm not mistaken, and that number is within the NFO, that equipment at the end of the project will be assessed, and it can either NRCS get that back, or it can be transferred to the grantee with conditions. And those conditions, one of them is to have that equipment available for farmers to use. So yes, that's inside the NFO language. Acquisition of equipment, yes, is permitted.
Any other question for Mario? I just want to share something with you, Mario. I will share my display. In the Caribbean Area CIG webpage, you can navigate that page. At the end, you will find a link that said Caribbean CIG awardees, and those are past projects funded through CIG funds, and you can see example of different projects that were implemented in the past years, just for reference.
Excellent.
Any
Ricardo.
other question? We will try also to put this recording in the webpage just for future reference if you need it. Remember that you can do your question in Spanish. We can, podemos contestar cualquier pregunta en español, si así lo desean. Y también estamos disponibles luego del webinar de hoy para contestar cualquier pregunta en español o tener alguna discusión de alguna duda que tengan.
Yes, any question regarding the actual NFO and the priorities, feel free to send us an email or call us. My contact information is in CIG webpage and it's in the NFO. So feel free to do it. And we're encouraging those projects are out there. Apply, send your proposal. Last year we had, if I don't mistaken, two grants, Ricardo.
That's correct.
Two grants awarded. So that's a low number. So we want more application. I know there's several people out there doing projects that may be within those priorities and will help a lot in the Caribbean. So if there's no other questions, so thank you for having me, and thank you for the time. I think, Ricardo, we can stop the recording, and have a great day.